Okie doke, seventh grade. Today we're going to compare and contrast Andrew Jackson's political philosophy, his advocacy for the common man, against his disregard for those who were left out of power and by the mainstream in his time, the other common people, so to speak. So, when Jackson's coming to power, it's nearing the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, which would be 1826. In a lot of ways, that year marks a huge shifting of the whole body politic of the United States. Both Jefferson and Adams will pass on. We see the rising of power of the next generation running for elections within those years, and also the demographics, meaning the population and the makeup of the population in the United States, and the economic landscape of the U.S. really was shifting during that time period. In the North, the economy was becoming more and more industrialized. And where you have industry and factories, you need workers. And that meant that the population was becoming more and more city oriented or urbanized. And from these cities and from these industrial jobs, a new working class citizen arrives, not highly educated, but with a decent amount of wealth to build up a decent life for themselves. Not rich, but definitely not poor. Um, we're going to see that the pioneers who are moving further and further west and pushing the boundaries of the United States, um, they're a growing portion of the population, but they are facing a lot of difficulties, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of adversity just to survive and get by. Not just moving west, but settling west. They have to overcome so much, and they feel more and more that there's a disconnect between them in the west and the people back in the east who they see as almost privileged. Lastly, immigrants are moving to the U.S. at a more rapid rate into both regions, either to expand on the opportunities of the western frontier or to take advantage of the industrial north. And these three groups are going to make up what Mr. Jackson will refer to as the common people. And the common man, as Mr. Jackson will say, the common man really feels disconnected with those of wealth and privilege and power. Each of our first first six presidents, come from wealthy, established families. Um, Four of them from the plantation owning class, and they feel that these people who were born into privilege don't necessarily get what the everyday common man is going through, but they feel like Andrew Jackson does. He appeals to this new working class, this new common man, and the fact that he had humble origins, that he was born into poverty, that his wealth was built from his own grit and desire, that he was a self made man. To him, the common man saw him as the American ideal for what they wanted to become, what they were striving for. And the fact that he's pretty anti establishment, that he is willing to fight against those in power, in Congress, in the military, those with wealth. He has a disdain for them, and he wants to kind of go in like a wrecking ball. He wants to break the whole system because he feels that it is corrupt, and that he wants to work to pry away power from this corrupt machine that was building in Washington and give it back to the regular everyday people. And Jackson shows time and time again that he's not willing to go with what the precedent was or what the rules are. He's willing to do whatever it takes to accomplish his goals. And again, this is something that his admirers love. The fact that he takes no prisoners, the fact that he is willing to do anything and everything to do everything that he wants, they're always impressed by. But Mr. Jackson's common people doesn't necessarily include all the common people. The common man to Jackson was white, um, whereas and was a male. And Jackson's notion, the common man, really excluded a lot of the population who was shut out from power. He wasn't advocating and fighting for everybody who was shut out, just a portion of the population that was shut out. And the other portion of the population, he was pretty good on continuing to oppress. He was fine with women being denied equal citizenship. Um, Jackson was a slave owner. In his life, he owned over 160 slaves and was, by many accounts, a pretty brutal slave owner. He um, uh, publicly whipped a woman, a female slave of his, for speaking to him in an undignified manner, for deigning to talk to him as an equal. He advertised for if for a runaway slave that he would pay 10 extra bucks for his capture for every 100 whips that whip marks that he had when he was returned. He was known for really brutally overworking and beating his slaves. Um, and that alone is pretty messed up. And then you get into Jackson's beliefs in Indian removal. He is probably the biggest proponent in our history and will lay a lot of precedents that are going to be followed by future presidents and future generations of Americans that are going to really carry out the U.S. government, not the British, not the colonies, the U.S. government executing multiple massacres of Native Americans and the removing of them from their lands by force and often through horrible conditions. We're going to explore later on the Trail of Tears. That's going to result in the deaths of tens of thousands of Native Americans. It's very arguable that Andrew Jackson, as president, ordered and forced the carrying out of genocide against the indigenous people of the United States. And they were definitely common people of America during that time period and still are, yet were definitely excluded from his notion of the common man. So, my question for you is, should historians focus on Andrew Jackson for being the first to speak on behalf of the common man in America, to advocate for the working class, to advocate for those who felt ignored by the government, or should he be remembered for his brutal disregard of the rights of the non-white common people of America during his time period, in particular slaves and Native Americans? I look forward to reading your answers. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.